All right, I call this meeting of the Mount Vernon Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Do I have a motion to certify the agenda? Motion made by Donnie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Linda. All four. 7-0. All right. Miss Kathy, will you lead us in prayer?
Sure. Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the privilege that you're allowing us to try to make the best decisions for the students and the teachers in our district. Lord, help us to be wise. Lord, thank you for the rain. We're waiting on the sunshine. Thank you for blessing us every day. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, where's the flag at? Right here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Open up with our information items. Dr. McCullough?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Real quick, on the end of year enrollment, we ended with 1567, which is an increase of 20 from the previous year.
And then, do we have any campus department with
We
school
don't.
out?
We have elementary represented in middle school, but they were not told to come prepared. So unless they just want to share something, they don't have to.
Our scores are all rolling in, everything looks pretty decent, we know what you need to fix and go forward from there.
I can agree. We're analyzing, looking at things and making adjustments where we need to.
Thank you, ladies. Construction.
We have Lou here with Jackson Construction, actually in the person today, not online.
In the flesh.
We didn't have anything else to do.
Not AI. If you, a couple of you may want to turn around. Not sure what's going on with yours. Oh, warm it up. I give the information to our marketing lady. She puts all this together, so all this fancy stuff is not my thing. So, we'll start with area. We call it Unit A area. I said it in the meetings. This is our middle school edition. We are currently completing a lot of the interior finishes. And as you can see over there on the right, I believe that's a picture of the conference room looking out north. So I know the flooring's going down soon. We've got some doors and hardware here in about a week and a half that we're going to start hanging. So the exterior there that you see, I hadn't been around there since last week. So
all of this is.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
All
no, you're fine. All that driveway coming, or the fire lane that's coming back over to the main part of the campus, that's all been concrete. They're still working on I believe they got the topping and striping here soon at that parking lot. And I know y'all's furniture for that area A is coming about a week or so. So we've got some exterior doors, kind of a little bit of a delay there with just some hardware, but hopefully in the next week and a half, we'll have those exterior doors hung there and then some handrails and stuff for area A. So it's not gonna slow the school down for you guys to get the admin in that space. And we're gonna take everybody from this area and move them over, well, you guys are, I'm not, to that area so we can start gutting this probably mid-second week, early third week of July-ish. That's what we're kind of targeting so we can get you guys comfortable in that space over there. So that's area A. And then when you guys start August, fall, that'll be a fully functional area. People can park on that side. And then most of that's gonna be your principal's admin space over there, so.
So will the drop off route and everything will change?
Correct,
For the
yes.
fall, right?
Yes.
Correct, yes, and we'll
Okay.
communicate
It will,
that,
okay.
yes.
So that is our middle school edition. It's went pretty well, and so we should be here soon turning that over to you guys. This is just our auditorium. 4 years done. It's been done for a while. That platform, I don't know if anybody's been in that auditorium. We call it a dance floor, just for safety precautions. So I know we had to get fire sprinklers in there. I think the fire sprinkler heads are installed. I know the painter, I think Dustin told me today that the painter has started on those east and west walls, solid black, and then all that wood slate that you see, we're gonna paint that black as well. So once that's complete, that dance floor will come out of there, and then we've got all the carpet down the aisles that will get replaced as well. So that space, that auditorium, will be turning that over too. So once you guys come back in the fall, this auditorium and the whole foyer will be turned over to the school for you guys.
Look, in the auditorium, the front left area where we're having the leaking issue, that's part of what's being fixed. Dustin's had the plumbers up there. What they have found that they believe to be the issues, originally when it was built, there were 3 roof drains. For whatever reason, one was closed, not being used, so we have 2. One of the 2 has gotten stopped up, has debris in it. And also when they got up there, they did some more looking. He told me this morning, that one that has been stopped up, the pipe itself is rusting some, so they believe that.
Yes.
They really think that's where the leak issue is, not necessarily leaking through a hole in the roof, but through that roof drain is what, it's not allowing, water's backing up in that drain and causing issues. So they're working to clean that out and repair. They think they're gonna have to cut out part of that pipe, that roof drain that's rusted, and repair that, and Dustin believes that should take care of the issue there.
Yep, that's correct. This is an aerial shot that we took. I've got a better picture on another slide. So the kitchen cafeteria is on that far west side. You really can't see it because it's north of, it's just grade beam, concrete grade beams that we're doing, and some underground electrical, which is your kitchen area. So we're gonna, if you can see where the existing CTE building is, just southwest of that, just on that corner, that's where your kitchen's going. So there's a lot of utilities and stuff that we're getting in that area, and that's gonna be, we're gonna, here in a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, we're gonna pour just that portion to get that covered up with concrete. And then you'll start seeing, as you can see in that area E, which is our fine arts and tornado storm shelter building. Y'all probably have seen it. The perimeter is insulated concrete form, so they're stacking there. This is probably a 3 or 4 day old picture, and so probably the end of next week, or 4th week of June, we'll start pouring the concrete inside that foam, the insulated form, and then they'll pour 10 feet, 12 feet, and let it cure, and then we'll call it a lift, and then there'll be another second pour up to the roof. So that's our storm shelter there, which we're calling Area E. And then of course where that, you see where that boom crane is down there on the corner at our ag facility, Unit G. The piers are complete, so you know we're getting there, and they're prepping and forming the grade beams going east to west. And of course we've had 3-4 rain delays, so that's kind of pinned us. But we're done drilling the piers in that area, and we're looking at toward the end of this year as kind of a tentative turnover, first of the year for the ag facility. And then here's we call it Area F. There's an ICF, for the insulated concrete form, that you can see there with the scaffolding around it. It's a lot better picture. But that's your foyer area, and I think we've got probably 5 to 7 piers, concrete piers that have been drilled in that front area. We probably got about 25 more, so I think next week we've got clear skies and sunshine. So I'm praying that the week, hopefully in the next week and a half, we'll be out of the pier business. Other than the canopy that we've got over at the middle school, but the deep piers that we're drilling pretty deep, we should be done.
So let me give you a little information regarding this. I just realized I failed to let you know this on Monday because I was on the road. They're drilling the piers here in front of the high school, right there in front of what you see is the old trophy case that's there in the middle.
Yes.
They got into a underground electrical that was not marked on any drawings. So that again, just went on drawings for them to know that was there. It was not marked, but they got into it that took the electricity out on several of the hallways. So they moved summer school into the CTE building the rest of this week. Craig took care of that on having them move over on Monday. So now they're gonna have to rerun some electrical, but they're working on that.
Yeah.
Apologize for not letting you know that Monday. So.
And then here's I just call it site work. It's a little bit better picture. So that center picture is what Dr. McCall was, that's all, this is an older picture. So all that fire lane and stuff has been poured in concrete, which is also a picture on the right side. The picture on the far left is on the back side, on the east side, which they are demoing and prepping to pour that fire lane back there, and that tree disappeared. So that's gone. It's no longer there, but
Is that tree could talk?
Yeah.
the front, as y'all can see here in the front, we've got y'all blocked off almost like in a U shape on each end. So soon we'll probably have all the way across where we'll start just take over that funding tree up there, and start doing just a lot of hardscape, the fire lane, etc. So a lot going on. And then here's just a overall shot of the campus and what we're tearing up right now. So hopefully we can have a lot of that fire lane in the back on the east side picked up and placed. So hopefully before you guys start school, and we shouldn't have to reroute any of the buses that come through back there. But that is where we're at.
So can you back up just a little bit? You were asking about drop off and everything. So when school starts, this side here is going to be a little bit congested, but it becomes the pickup drop off for parents as well as really staff parking, because this will be where all of us will have to come in, and even for us as administrators, even though we're going to be here at these offices, because they will then start here in the next couple of weeks. They're going to start taking this front section of concrete, demoing it to get it ready for the new fire lane as well.
Right.
Buses, this fire lane will be done. Gus said they're going to, tomorrow's the last day of summer school for high school. So then they'll move next week to demoing the parking lot in the high school as well. So there's going to be a lot of, again, for the last part of the summer, the rest of summer, this back part's going to be being redone. As you can see, they've already got all the demo back here. This is now ready to pour, and they're going to pour up to, the plan was for tomorrow, but of course the weather has changed that. I think they were coming to here or here.
That's
One
about
of
where
those.
your finger is.
Right here.
Yes, sir.
The plan was tomorrow to pour to there, but because of weather, that's been moved to Tuesday. That right? I think that's what Dust told me this morning. So then they'll start working the rest of the way to get that done. So bus drop off will still be back here for this next school year, and then the following year we'll move back up front where we'll have the canopies and some things like that. So
So car riders for middle school, they'll come off of Kaufman, is that Kaufman? No, that's Rutherford. And then they'll come in.
come in
and
here
then exit out
and
to
come
Miller.
back here to, yes, have to come back to Miller.
Yeah.
So Dr. McCullough, I'm sure we're gonna talk about this, we have a lot of elementary school kids that car riders that pick up there, so they're gonna have to go all the way back to Miller, down and around. And is it gonna be two-way traffic or one-way?
Which direction here?
Yeah.
It'll be
they're
one
gonna
way
have to-
coming in like where that white vehicle is up front,
Yeah,
and then to come around, and then to come this way,
okay.
to go
So
in
they're gonna have to
between.
go all the way down to this Rutherford and then come in. Okay.
So go to elementary to get that.
Yeah, like, me dropping off my kids,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
go
a
down
little
and then
trouble.
jump it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have to adjust schedules.
Yes.
Planning for that.
Leave a little bit earlier, yeah. But, we will, before school starts, of course, first part of August, we'll communicate that through on our website, through social media, Parent Square, things like that, with a map showing pickup drop-off areas and flow, traffic flow.
So high school will be dropped off in the same, where will they go?
Drop-off will be back at high school.
Okay.
Back with the
Roll, baby.
Three locations.
Yeah.
They can walk from high school.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lou.
You're welcome. Any
Thank
questions?
Any questions for Lou? Lou, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, it's good to see your face. Thanks for being here. Yep, anything like
I have
that.
that. Hellas is still working to finish the exterior gate. A little bit left on locker room. Ready to do next week. We'll probably do a final walkthrough on baseball, softball, and tennis. Waiting on that. We're just dragging right along.
I'm sure I get her.
On the softball field, there was a couple spots, there was one in right field, there was yeah. And then there was around home plate, there was some patchwork, you can't see it obviously unless you're up in the stands, but do you know if they fixed that?
I am not sure. I'll find out. Right field. Yep.
So I could,
Linda, they got this back.
Oh, yeah.
I think that part's been correct.
What about what about at the football stadium, the water drainage with it ended up down there?
I have not been there. I did not go look today to look in the bathroom, but they redid they redid concrete to valley that to the drain in the middle. And so I think it's taking care of most of it. I don't know necessarily after yesterday or today's rain. So
Good time to double check.
Yes.
All the
Yeah, it's a
for any
good time.
leaks, any puddles.
I do know that Dana had asked for some additional pea gravel for around the pitcher's mound, I guess. I know that he called me today, and Drew called me and said that he had brought some and it's sitting there, and I'll let her know that. So
Any other questions for Hellas?
I know Mark mentioned something about the tennis courts, there was some spots on it for sure. I don't know if you relay that.
recently, I know that they've repaired some spots, a couple of different spots throughout the spring. So if there's something additional, if you'll ask him to contact me, please.
They got the paint right, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What about the bleachers, football field, they wash them, best they got
So
wash them?
they've done what they can. He and I discussed that on the phone the other day. They used when Gary's pressure was, they used all the chemicals that they had been provided, and I think then went to O'Reilly's and tried some others. There are a couple other options that the bleacher company's given them. Be honest with you, I don't know if either one's going to get it without diminishing the longevity of the bleachers. Meaning we can try some harsher chemicals, but I think it's going to pit it or diminish them, kind of eat into it a little bit.
So what
that's
is,
where we are right now.
I don't know what it is.
So when they had the issue last year having to take it back down, they had erected part of it and had to take it back down. When it sat there, basically some of the aluminum, I might say the word oxidized maybe, and so they thought that when they came to pressure wash with some of the chemicals that they had, would clean some of it up. If you walk on it now, there especially on the bottom platform, the entry platform where you get on, matter of fact,
Well, if they can't clean it, can they replace it?
we'll find out.
I mean, that's definitely on them.
On
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bottom.
Cause a new facility,
Yeah.
we don't.
I agree, and that was what I told
If it was
Jordan.
unclean, they just replace it at their expense.
Let's see here.
Like, how much would they have to replace? How big of an area?
It's probably just that bottom, that whole.
Y'all are
row.
talking the bottom walkway? Like,
I mean, I haven't really like.
So this
looked
is,
at the rest of it.
so that's the bottom walkway.
The bottom's pretty bad.
That's that bottom walkway. Bottom platform.
That doesn't look good.
That's what I said, it doesn't look new.
No, not for a facility
No.
like that.
well, and especially when it's not our fault.
Yeah.
It's not our upkeep, it's.
That's all that's all.
Let us know if they send
I will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Is that all for the Hellas? Anything else?
Are they still paying us $1,000 a day?
Still there. We've not paid them anything since, when was the last payment we gave them? March? Maybe?
I think March. Now, we haven't paid on the
Baseball,
softball field probably
Yeah.
since December.
That's good.
Well, there's not much left, is there?
They sent us a payout, late, maybe it was Friday. Seems like there's,
I think we're at 440
yeah,
440 left for the whole
I
project.
think that's right. Somewhere around that. And we're at day 3:30, around about
Coming
3:30.
up on a year.
Since August 9th,
Discuss,
yeah,
where we
yeah,
are then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I'm waiting to have it face to face. He's supposed to be back Monday or Tuesday. We're gonna have that conversation.
Somebody should have been marking the calendar, or no R,
Our fault. Would've been done on this, huh?
they should have done it right.
So the next part is that beginning year 2 of 5-year plan with claims administrative services. They're our workers' comp insurance company. Last year we entered into an agreement for a 5-year plan. Every year what they do is they basically give you an opportunity to re-up for a new 5-year plan. Craig and I looked at it. Craig recommends that we just go forward with year 2 of the current plan that we're at. So that's what we're doing. That's just information for you what we're doing with that.
All right, any questions on that? And then, no one's here for open forum. All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion made by Linda, seconded by Kathy, all 4. 7-0.
Thank you.
And we have our preliminary budget overview. Sorry, that sound.
Alright, yeah, done with it. I just wanna throw that up there. Thank you, sir. Alright. You don't mind if I sit right here and run the computer, do you? Okay. Alright, a little overview, just wanted to, on the overview, we'll also have some stuff from this current year we're in versus what we're gonna do next year. And as this is preliminary, this is, the best we can do, and I'll go over some other things with you on that as well. This current year, those are our tax rates that we had, M&O at 66.69 cents, INS 34.29 cents, with a total of just barely over $1. Our average daily attendance for the year ended about 1467, and our certified values and that is currently what the comptroller has us at. We always have line barter go in and they do a protest on certain ones and everything, and they always lower it down. But that is where we are currently sitting at for this year, or for the current year we're in. For next year, it looks like our M&O tax rate is gonna compress some more. We'll be at 64.65 cents. INS is gonna drop over 3 cents to 31.12 cents. And then our overall rate will be 95.77 cents on that. Can't remember when it's been below $1 total, everything. And average daily attendance for the budget numbers I'm doing is at 1470. That's only 3 more than last year. Just trying to stay conservative with everything. I don't want to, get too happy on that. The more there, that's better. And right now, this is my estimate on our preliminary values. As you can see, it's dropped. It's dropped because we got it and it was around, I think it was 1,990,000,000. But since we will be voting in November to add $40,000 exemption, and then 65 and older, disabled, veterans get an extra $50,000 on that. So, looking at the information I got from the appraisal district, I came up with the 1,859,000,000. So that is less. Our tax rate is less. So I guess you kind of know what's going to happen with that. We're going to collect less taxes this year than we did in the previous year. There's a little chart over our tax rate history from 2015 to this current year. You can see that the gray is the total tax rate. You can see 10 years ago we were at almost $1.25. So that's just a little bit of information you can see. The blue is your M&O, orange is your INS, your debt, and then the gray is your total for both of those. And in the last 5 years, the board has dropped over 27 cents from the total tax rate in 5 years. And also, I said right there, the trend looks like it's going to continue because property tax seems to be big for Abbott and Patrick. So I think next year we'll have another drop. I'm pretty sure our compression will happen again. It wasn't as much this year as it was in previous years, but it still dropped, which is good for all of us homeowners. There's the taxable values, as you can see. 1819, barely over $1 billion. And now we're pushing 1.9 billion. That's $900 million increase over the 7 years. Quite a bit. And a lot of other people, I'm just throwing this out here and there. A lot of people will gripe and say that the appraisal district's just raising it up because they want to create more revenue. Well, the appraisal district's chief appraiser has what he's doing, trying to appraise it right, but then the state comptroller comes in and goes, that's what we say it is. And when you're lower, we lose funding. The county doesn't lose funding, the city doesn't lose funding. We lose the funding if they do not meet that criteria with a certain percentage of error. This past year, we were only 54 million. That's way better than we've ever been. And you can see that on the chart where the green is what the state says. Like if you go to 2020, 23-24, the state said 1,890,000,000. We showed 1,727,000,000. That's a massive increase from where the appraiser had it, chief appraiser had it. And so when TEA sees that, they go, oh, well, you should have collected this much in tax. and only had this much in state aid drops. So not only did we not collect the tax, we're not collecting the state aid at the same time. So it's a double hit to us.
Well, and am I thinking this wrong? Cause it hurts us when the values are off and not raised appropriately, but also when the
Correct.
values are raised, we compress our tax rate, so
Correct.
we don't get more money
That
when
is-
values go
That
up.
is correct.
I just wanted to make sure. I
That
was
is correct.
thinking
When
it
values
correctly.
go up,
Thank you.
the higher the values, the more compression we will have on our tax rate. So yes, it's any way you look at it, they're gonna make sure that we don't get everything. It's kind of aggravating. But that is exactly correct.
Now, this chart will be interesting within the next couple of years if what the possibilities of happening in Franklin County happen. I mean, he'll have to about double the size of his chart to capture what property value will look like.
Yes. And like one of the things, our property values, when I came here in 23, I believe it was an $8 million valuation in Hopkins County, because we go into Hopkins County just a little bit. Where we go is a solar farm. So I watched it go from 8 million to last year to it was 8 million the previous, and then I can't remember what it was the previous year, and then this past year it was 40 million.
Wow.
Now they're looking at it to be like 55 million. So it is increasing incredibly over there. And we have a very small sliver of that. So if we get one that's fully inside of Franklin County, it's gonna be a lot.
But that won't impact our M&O, that would just impact our INS more, like benefit wise?
No, it'll impact M&O because it'll make us compress more, but we will get more money also, but then it can throw us into recapture where we're gonna start sending that money back also. On the INS side, that would be awesome. You get, let's just say it's a $500 million valuation on something. Well, our INS rate could be cut in half because they're gonna pay so much more than everybody else doesn't have to pay as much. So, but yes, it'll still impact us on the M&O side. We'll make more money and we'll start sending some back. So, either way, they're gonna get us. We have to compress it up. We can't compress too much. This is just a little fund balance history. You can see 2016, we were at 4.4 million. I am predicting us to be up at almost 6.7 million in our fund balance at the end of this year. That still keeps us about 2 million over the requirement. 90 days reserve is what they're wanting, and that would be 4.65 million on what we would have to have in there. It's not written in stone you have to have it, but on your first report that they look at all your financials and everything, anything under 90, you get deducted points on that for your evaluation. So we always want to stay above 90. The good stuff. Alright, as you can see, I did the revenue side on this because we always look at our revenues, and whatever our revenues are, we need to make our expenses match and be a balanced budget. I mean, sometimes you can't, but you really want to strive to do that. You can see with the use of fund balance that we had a budget of $18,888,000. We've got budget amendments that's going to be just a tad bit over $1 million, so that's where you get the total revenue of $19,896 per budget. Year to date, we've received $17.8 million. We still have 3 months left. We haven't received everything from the state as well. Next year's budget, for the calculations and everything, we're looking at a little over 21 million. Even with about 400,000 less in taxes. But comes with that, the state says we'll make it up. On that there, you can see that, where our budget was at 18.8, out to 18.9 million, went up to 19.9 million, I guess you could say. We are looking at an increase of 2.1 million for this year, with 960,000 of that is a state allotment for teacher raises. That's gonna leave us 1,156,000 to use everywhere else. I'd show you the state allotment for the teacher raises because it's not built into, it's not had it calculated on weights and ADA and everything. It is a flat, you're gonna get this amount of money, period, no matter what, because they're looking at the number of teachers 3 to 4 years and the number of teachers 5 and up. So it's 4,000 and 8,000. So that's why I wanted to show you what that was, to show you that apples to apples from last year's budget to this one, we will have $1.1 million more.
So the 2.116, that's what, you say the budget's increasing, we're getting that much more revenue from the state, is that what you're saying?
We're gonna get that much, yes, that's what I'm predicting, with that much more revenue,
Okay.
yes. Well, and that also has to do with with what it is when they compress, it also has the hold harmless in there to say, hey, we know y'all lost this much money in taxes that we didn't, we're gonna give you this
Right, so they're increasing.
money, so they're increasing that.
The allotment or whatever.
Yes,
it is.
they're
So
increasing the money there
we're
so you don't lose it.
116 and 960 of that's going to teacher
That,
raises.
yes,
potentially.
960 of that is
And
on
then
that.
we have the 115 left for other expenses. to
Correct.
Spend how we see fit.
Correct. Well, some of that, yes.
Some's in safety, some's in special ed, some
of
is,
it's earmarked for
some is
different
that
programs.
fixed cost allotment that they're giving us. Small piece of that is increasing basic allotment. What else? Seemed like there was one other.
There's increasing for like insurance and transportation.
It's that fixed cost allotment.
Yes, and then the other one we got, it's about 62,000, and that's going to be for your, not your teachers or your administrators, but everybody else to give them a raise as well on that.
So it comes with a lot of strings.
And if you ever get bored and everything, you can come to my office and I can show you the spreadsheet that we do all the calculations. It may take a week to get through it, but we can try to. It's a lot. It's a lot.
One pager, it's good.
Good trick, interesting.
There's just to show you then that tax revenue is decreasing due to the compression, and the lower taxable values on the new exemptions for homestead over 65. And they will put that in there to help us with that. Our federal revenues, if you'll notice that we had budgeted 235, we've only collected 52, and I'm only budgeting 50. That's to the new reimbursement changes that came through, and they're just not covering everything, and the reimbursements are not there, so there's a lot of people that are actually choosing to get out of the SHARS program, reimbursement program, because there were schools that when this hit, we actually got a check. I can't remember how much it was. Some schools had to write a check back. We were lucky we got 15,000, and some schools were writing 150,000 back.
For
So,
several years ago, not just for, wasn't that right?
Yeah.
Or send money back for what they had been
Their
reimbursed.
audit
It was for.
came from 2010.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
2010.
Right on time.
Yeah. A little breakdown there, tax rate compression of 2 cents, homestead exemptions are going up. The over 65 disabled and veterans, they're increasing 50,000. Interest rates are also expected to drop over the next 12 months. Currently they're holding, but from what I'm reading, they're kind of expecting maybe 2 cuts before the end of the year. That would be 50 basis points, 25 each one. So I did some historical balances and did some things on that to figure out what our interest rate would be, our interest income would be. The state, they're gonna do a hold harmless loss for our tax revenue, that is M&O and INS. Currently, right now, they have our INS at $462,000 they're gonna give us for loss from the compression on that. So, and when I go in and do the tax rate, I have to also put that as an income from the state to show that, so that's where that compression comes down even more. There's new allotments for the teacher, the support staff raises, new allotments for SPED, their evaluations, each evaluation that we do, a full initial evaluation, they'll reimburse us $1,000. So we have that coming. There's new security. It was $59,000 last year. I think it's $129 this year. Extra $10 per child, and then $15,000 to $33,000 and some change per campus. So it's about $18,000 per campus increase on that too as well. That should have happened a long time ago. There's also some increasing in the weighting of the student allotments and the small and mid-sized school funding that they put in there, so that helps with the increase on that. On that federal side, I just said that the SHARS reimbursement is decreasing due to their changes as well. And that's kind of our preliminary where we're at. Continue to work. I will not know, well, I really won't know what the true taxable values will be until 1st of January, because we'll vote the 1st of November on that. We all know that's gonna pass, but then it backdates 2 years. So not only does it cover 25, it's also gonna go back and cover 24, but when that does happen, the state sees it, compares it to what they've paid us, and we'll actually get some more from that for the back years. That makes sense. Because the funding that we'll get from our taxes this year, when they go and they backdate and make sure everybody that's paid previous year and everything, they will issue refunds. So when they issue those refunds, that's money that we won't get. But then Line Barter goes in and they do their protests and everything, and when they submit it and everything, they'll say, okay, well, because of the backdating on this, you're getting this extra funding from that. Which just makes it a lot more complicated than it should be. But I'll have a better idea of what our taxes are gonna be, July 25th, when they have to give me their values. And they'll give values that are based on 140,000 exemption and then 200,000 for those that are 65 and over. So they'll give me those. And I'll have those, so it'll be a better one, but I came up with a rough estimate, and I'm actually hoping that I lowered it more than I should have. That'll be the best way to do it. So, any questions?
Remind me of the 21 million, how much of that is for salaries and staff? Is it like 80%, 85% of that goes?
75 to 80, 75 to 80%. Yes.
Does anyone else have any further questions on that?
Great, thank you.
Oh, that was right. Thank you.
That's good.
We'll go ahead
Okay.
and start. Alright, do you wanna
Okay.
open it up?
So now we're gonna move to discussion item A on the absences related to semester test exemption policy. That was asked to be brought. What I've got for you Make coffee for everybody. Did I just print out one. I just printed out one of these.
Oh,
I
you made
wondered-
copies or something?
No, I don't think so. So what I did was I looked at surrounding districts to compare our policy. Well, sorry, I'm a step ahead. I'm
This
next
is
Chris.
for the-
Sorry. Exemption policy.
Yes.
You'd asked to bring this up. I know that there at the end of the school year, we had some concern from some in regard to our exemption policy. Apologize, Mr. Glover has sold his house and they are living in Texarkana at the moment as they're trying to get here. They move into another house next week. So he said he could be available by phone if needed. But the reason why this was put into place and how they came up with that was in an effort to encourage better attendance during the spring semester. As you see, there's the policy. If you had an A or 90 or above, you could have up to 5 absences. 80 or above was 3, 70 or above, no more than 1 absence. They had some more things in there related. Says for purpose of final exemptions, only school-related absences will be excluded. That would basically mean if you were participating, not going to watch would be considered a school-related absence. Also had in there if you were in 3 or more days of ISS or OSS or DAP, couldn't be exempt. So reason for this was I know there was some conversation that we had in regard to whether or not going to watch should be counted as a school related absence. So that's why it's here for us to have that discussion. It's not to make a final decision, but just to have the open discussion if we need to come back and do, or if through the discussion, if I need to have a conversation with the high school in regard to their student handbook to make a change. So.
And how much, because I'm thinking back, because this was, when did you say put in place this past year?
Just this past year. We didn't do fall exams. We just did spring. And again, it was because our spring absences usually, our attendance is not as strong in the spring as it is in the fall.
What, and previous conversations had also been, since COVID, we've struggled as a district keeping our attendance up. Is that correct?
I'd say our attendance is on average about 2% overall less than what it was pre-COVID. I think this year was a little better. I know middle schools kept theirs pretty good. High schools is still consistently 2% less overall, than what it was pre-COVID. Elementary's creeping back up to be pretty close. I know middle school was this year as well.
All right. Well, anyone want to bring anything in for the discussion of? I think there was a conversation of post, not just any watching, postseason. Is that still something?
Like state.
Yeah, I think so.
State?
Add exemption days for people that wanna go watch state competition.
Yeah.
I don't care.
But you-
I think that would be fair.
Anything, yeah.
Okay.
I think
Sport, yeah.
Can you?
So that can be, again, and I think as we kind of talk through this, I think going into next year, I think that can be an exception wrote in. Again, use the example that we had, one act play advances the state again. If we have a student who wants to go who has an A but already has 3 absences, that one day doesn't kick them out of exemption, because that would be going to support a state event from students.
But it's gotta be documented somehow.
Say, how are you gonna verify, just to be verified, because I know they'll say out of the state thing.
Yeah, I would.
Well,
I
so
would-
with that, I would say in the past that falls on the administrator who's
Yeah.
there, which we have someone that they have, if you're there, so if I'm your child and we go, you let me go, or we go together, then I might have to go to Mr. Glover or Mr. Hammond, whoever the administrator is,
Yeah.
and
I'm just
sign in or do something.
Take pictures.
Because that's, they'll have to work that out in regard to what that looks like. Yeah.
Snaps.
There'll have to be some type of
Can't be a ticket, just
accountability
a
there.
ticket.
Yeah.
Cause that's me, I'd have been,
That'd be finding me somebody.
I've been buying it.
Some photocopies.
So there'll have to be something put in place. Does that kind of seem
Is that the consistent, like a state, not just any like post, but like
Yeah,
if it's a
definitely.
state?
so it's not for semifinal but it
now
is
you,
for the state event.
now you may run into something like as far as, I mean, just talking, but like a travel day, I don't know how that works, like one act play didn't get done till what time? I mean, when was it? Wednesday night or Thursday night?
Yeah,
So
they
it was
did.
5 o'clock.
It's really
It was
About 5 o'clock on that Wednesday, I guess.
So I mean, I'm not real
Results weren't
sure.
till like
11.
11:30.
Yeah, 11.
I'm not real sure
So
how
it
that
would've been hard
works.
to make
I'm
a
just
decision
talking,
Not
say,
on Thursday. No.
yeah, I mean, so.
We'll work through that. If y'all are okay with me working with high school administration to work through what they would like.
Is this just simply for testing?
It was just for exemption. This
Okay,
piece
'cause I'm
here
thinking
was.
like unexcused, would it be unexcused? Because we have a lot of kids that go to that as far as absences.
This dealt just with the exemption
Okay,
policy.
perfect.
And then, leading off of that, the next discussion item is, extracurricular absence
Yes.
policy.
Okay, so we put that in there for you as well to see currently what we have. That's where I was trying to go a while ago. I was one ahead. So our current policy says that the district shall make no distinction between absences for UIL activities and absences for other extracurricular activities approved by the board. A student shall be allowed in a school year a maximum of 15 extracurricular absences not related to post-district competition. However, a student shall be allowed unlimited absences for participation in post-district or state competition. So what I did was I asked Julia to run a report for me just for high school and to show. Now, what this isn't going to show us is the number of students or the number of absences that are post-district absences. But out of the high school students, we had 45 that were above that were 16 or more. Okay, so again, one student, I won't mention her name, but looking at her, I know that, so some of her absences were because of the one act play. I mean, because they would miss 3 days, I think each week that they were gone, had a travel day, a practice day, or maybe it was a travel and practice day, a competition day, then a return day. I mean, so each one of those, so you're looking at about 15 days of absences right there for post-district absences. The state might have been 4 days, were they maybe 4 days?
The whole week.
Yeah, holy.
So it was,
The whole week.
you know, so in saying that, these are, we don't know how to necessarily break those down. So out of all high school students, with the policy we had, that would have affected 45 out of our high school students, roughly 475 students.
But
So,
but to clarify, we don't know how many.
I don't know
of
for
those
sure,
absences-
I don't know how many of those are post-district out of
So
those
it actually
45.
might not affect
Probably
45.
not all 45 of them,
Okay.
correct.
But
Now,
I'm just wanting to clarify.
So what I did do was I looked at surrounding districts. Mount Pleasant, Rivercrest, Chapel Hill, Winsboro, Sulphur Springs, Pittsburgh, and Mineola. Only 2 of those districts have similar policies to ours. Mount Pleasant, their policy states a maximum of 10 absences. Rivercrest is like ours of 15 extracurricular absences. Chapel Hill, Winsboro, Sulphur Springs, Pittsburgh, and Mineola, theirs says the district shall not limit an eligible student's absences related to participation in extracurricular activities. So I looked at 7 surrounding, and we've got 5 that don't have one at all. You know, I can see both ways. Again, we don't. Part of it is from a instructional standpoint. As superintendent, I want to somewhat guard instructional days. But on the flip side of that, we've got a policy that we've not been following in regard to the 15 days since I've been here. I say that in regard to the 15, as well as by going to a 4-day school week. You know, we have 150 days of what we have anyway. 15 is down to 135. You know, so I can
Almost 4 weeks of school.
I can see both sides of it there. But it comes down to, you know, if we're going to say we're going to limit, and let's say a student is in our ag program, plays baseball, one act play, and tennis, and they get to 15,
You gonna tell them
and
they
you
can't
still
go?
got 2 weeks. I mean, which, you know, let's say they've got an event the very next day, are we going to say that they can't go?
But most of those kids that are involved in all those extracurriculars, they're gonna keep their grades up and stuff, because they have to be eligible.
On the no pass, no play, they do. You're correct.
And
need
so, I
to be
mean,
eligible to
they're
do
gonna
so.
do,
So again, so
Part
part,
of
I
the
mean,
whole experience.
yeah, high school experience, you do it once.
so again, if it is the board's decision to move toward a policy change, then we'll work with our policy consultant and bring that back at a later time to change policy. Would you like some options in regard to that? I mean, in regard to, again, so we can,
Well,
we can move it from 15 to 20. If you wanna take it off as no number, there's option of shall not limit. Again,
I mean, and maybe
the 15's been there, we've just not been
Well, if you
paying
take
close
it out,
attention to
it's
it.
wonderful.
So.
well, I'm with, we need to align with our policy as far as what we do. And I'm just thinking, the only part I would want more information on how our teachers would feel from their standpoint. If it's one thing, if we're just not doing it now and we change it, but how if it goes against them feeling supported if they do feel like they're struggling to keep kids in classes. Does that make sense? If that's what you were saying is true and it doesn't matter, then why change it? Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Where you're not following. Okay, I was saying I would just want to make sure that the whole reason it was in place is to keep teachers in there, and if you have struggling kids, that falls on the teacher, correct?
But your struggling kids won't be eligible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if that's true, then it doesn't matter.
But for some, as we know, it's 6 weeks at a 6 weeks time. I mean, there could be that student gets to week 5 that's missed several classes that again, if he's not paying attention or that shouldn't be too much the case, but it could be.
Program person, whether it be one act play or tennis or whatever, be checking on their
Should.
kids
Yeah, should be.
and their grades, and are you keeping up with it? And they may not have to go, but I've had plenty of my junior high kids. I gotta have a note. Coach Wallace is not gonna let me do this or this if I don't have a note. I have to have a note that shows me I'm passing.
So, okay. We'll work on a policy.
So
Yeah.
the original, I'm gonna be confused, I'll stay confused, but the original question from the parent was, could a student go to the state one act play and not have a?
That was count against the exemption.
The exemption.
Yeah, that would be count against the exemption. And that's what we just talked about in regard to
This is-
making that state, going to what's that state competition, not count against it.
Okay.
And we'll work with the high school administration to put some clarifying language in there. Okay. Any other discussion on that?
It's good. All right. Now it is 6:14. We will convene to closed session for personnel matters pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, and to address legal concerns, implications, and questions regarding the posted agenda items pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071. Okay. It is 8:49. We are convening back into open session.
What time? Sorry.
It is 8:49 p.m. And we have a couple action items here. Action item A, consider and approve bank depository contract bids. Kramer, is that you?
All right, on that, sorry. All right, with that, it's actually attached to board book, but I did that today because I had to add some things to it. We had three of the 4 banks submit a bid: Prosperity, Guarantee, and Alliance. And we opened those Monday afternoon. Dr. McCullough, me, Jessica, and Christy Blair. We opened those up. They were all sealed, so we opened those up, went through everything. The results of the opening and everything, everybody qualified with the requirements of what we needed to have. When it came to interest rates, the summary Guarantee had a negative spread on their checking accounts and a 0 spread on time deposits. what that means is most everybody except for Prosperity bases what they're gonna pay on their accounts by the 13-week treasury bill. That's just what everybody kind of goes by on interest rates. Guarantee offered a negative. Theirs was whatever the 13-week T-bill is minus 125 basis points, which is 1.25% less. Alliance did not have a spread, which means whatever the 13-week T-bill is, that will be your interest rate. And both of them had a 4% ceiling, meaning they won't go over 4%, which is not gonna be a big deal to us. We're at 5 right now, but interest rates are fixing to drop some. They're gonna make some kind of cut. We're currently at 4.3, so if they make a 25 basis point cut, we're gonna be pretty much right at 4. So we'll be at our ceiling still, getting the maximum amount that we can with Alliance. Prosperity had whatever their posted rate was for their interest-bearing checking account plus 50 basis points. Right now, their posted interest-bearing account is 0.15%. So that would be 0.65% on our checking accounts. Money markets was a little bit higher. They were, it's kind of tiered. We would have been over the million mark. So right now, their current rate would have been 3% on that. Like I said, we're currently getting 4.3 with Alliance, but that can go down with that. On guarantees, it was 1.25% less. They gave an example now of March. The T-bill rate was a 4.2. They would do their deduction, we'd get 2.95. So still on that. So with Alliance and what they have, they are offering a floor. Both of them had a floor of 0.5%, which means if interest rates bottom out like they did 5 years ago, where nobody was getting 0.5, we would still get 0.5%. Because there was a time where interest-bearing accounts were making about 10.10%, excuse me. So we would still make more on that. So with those opened up, when it came to fees, there was no issues on that. Nobody was going to charge any fees. So our recommendation is that we stay with Alliance Bank.
Any further questions on that one? All right, do I have a motion to approve Alliance Bank as the depository contract? Motion made by Linda, second by Donnie, all 4. 7-0. All right, action item B, consider and approve interlocal agreement between Franklin County and NVISD for tax collection.
This is something that is just a continuation each year that we do. As you know, they collect our taxes for us, so this is just interlocal agreement for them to continue to do so.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between Franklin County and NVISD for tax collection?
Make the motion.
Motion made by Kyle, do I have a second? Second by Linda, all 4. 7-0. All right, action item C, consider and approve policy update 125.
So there are a few local policies that are involved in update 125. I'm gonna go through explanatory notes just real quick on the local ones. BDAA local. Revisions recommended this local policy on board officers' duties and requirements. And board officers, the sentence indicated the board may assign a district employee to provide clerical assistance is recommended for deletion since the superintendent rather than the board manages staff assignments, including providing support to the board. Under terms and duties, vice president, the revision language clarifies that when the vice president automatically becomes president due to a vacancy, then they serve as president until the board reorganizes. So that's some language change in BDA local. Next is BDB local, board internal organization, board committees. Policy has been revised in coordination with BDF local to clarify the difference between board committees and advisory committees. Accordingly, the subtopic with this code has been changed from internal committees to board committees, and new provisions are recommended to establish how board committees are formed and outline their purpose. Then BDF is Board Internal Organization Advisory Committees again, more language change for that one. Or language clarification, I mean. FDE local, mission school safety transfers. At safe schools, data bullying is added as recommended for inclusion as an offense for which the district must collect and maintain data. So that's just an addition of bullying to that for FDE local. FEC local is attendance for credit. Says basically revisions in language clarification for clarity. And then FAC local is wellness and health services, medical treatment. Legal framework, the code reflect the new Department of State Health Services rules on unassigned medication for respiratory distress. And that was it. Those are the local policies with change, or that affect change for us. Again, most are terminology or language clarification. Any questions on any of those? Again, nothing super major.
Any questions?
You had in your book, you had the blue additions and red markouts as annotated in it in your board book. Any questions on any of that?
All right, any questions, sorry? All right, motion to approve the policy updates for 125. Motion made by Donnie, do I have a second?
I'll say.
Seconded by Kyle, all four, 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, action item D, consider and approve district compensation plan.
Okay, as we know, the governor signed in the new compensation for teachers with 3 and 4 years experience and 5+. We want to include counselors and librarians with that. So recommendation is going to be that we adjust our teacher pay step for 0 to 2, which was not included in the legislation, but we want to increase that by 3,000. Of course, 3 to 4 is 4,000. 5+ is 8,000. I want to recommend a 10% increase for support staff, and to pass the $8,000 increase across for administration as well.
All right, do I have any questions on that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the district compensation plan as recommended?
Motion made.
Motion made by Kyle, seconded by Donnie, all four. All right.
On behalf of all the staff, thank you, board.
Okay. Action item E, consider and approve vendor for new AC and installation for junior high gym.
Because of the cost of the number of units we had, Bobby put this out to bid. I believe we received three quotes. We want to make the recommendation for John Wayne Company for the Comfort Maker unit with a cost of $78,000, but there is an additional $5,000 cost for crane rental. And these will be put on as soon as the new fire lane is put in, and Jackson Construction gives us the okay to put a crane on it. Dustin said approximately 2 weeks after it's put in, the fire lane's put in, that we should be able to do so. So the recommendation is for John Wayne Company to install those with a total cost of $83,000, which will include the crane rental.
Any questions on that?
So they quoted 2 different ones.
They quoted Carrier and a Comfort Maker.
Which one are we
Bob,
going?
we're going with the Comfort Maker. Bobby said both are basically the same. One has a Carrier name on it, one has Comfort Maker. So he's very comfortable with the Comfort Maker.
Okay, and so the company that services our ACs, they'll still service these also?
These will currently be under warranty with John Wayne Company, but I'll find that out. I don't know that answer for sure, but I'll find that out for you. Yes, ma'am.
Do I have a motion to approve the vendor for new AC and installation for the junior high gym? Motion made by Donnie, do I have a second? Seconded by Linda, all four. 7-0. And do you have a personnel report for us?
Yes, ma'am. Knowledge 3 professional contracts that you gave me the ability to approve. Cheyenne Shu, Kimberly Pelham, Christian Ladd, and then acknowledge resignations of Leslie Reese and Beth Dill.
It is 9:00 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all very much.